want to welcome you this morning. If there's a guest out there today, I'm Pastor Stan, and we're glad to have you with us today, and excited. We've got some cool things going on. As Rob mentioned in the bulletin, I want to add a couple of things to that. Well, today we start this new bulletin. I hope you like it. And we start something new as well in communicating with you, or how do you help communicate with us in cleaning our church. And so this past week, Sarah Green, I don't see her. Maybe she's back there in the back. Okay, yeah, she's back there serving again in the back. She cleaned the church all this month by herself. And so I just want to make note of that. Thank you, Sarah. And if you see her, tell her we appreciate the job that she did for our church. And so if you feel like you can help clean our church, fill that out and put it in the deal. And then also the communication card. Take a moment, fill that out, communicate with us. Let us know what your prayer requests are. And if God is moving you to do something in BBC, you can fill that information out. All right, so enough of the bulletin, right? Okay, it's good to see you this morning. Happy 4th of July weekend starts, right? Okay, did you like our songs that we selected today? That was good. All right, well today we continue in our sermon series, I Do and I Don't. And today it is I Don't to Distractions. And last week I talked a little bit about distractions in our marriage. And today we're going to hone in on distractions a little bit more. The main scripture passage that I want you to look at comes out of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 35. And if you've ever read chapter 7 in 1 Corinthians, you understand this is Paul talking to the Corinthian church about everything about marriage. So if you ever had a question about marriage, just read chapter 7 of Corinthians, the whole thing. He addresses just about every situation that can come up, and even in today. And so he answers a lot of those questions. Challenges, the various situations that come up in our life. Because life is life. It goes on. It's real. And he's given us some real good, solid answers in here. We're going to look at verse 35 in particular. So anybody in here need a Bible? We're good to go? All right, so you found the verse. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 35. I know it'll be up on the board as well. I read from the Holman version. So this is how it interprets it. It says, "Now I am saying this for your own benefit, not to put a restraint on you, but because of what is proper, and so that you may be devoted to the Lord without distraction." So let's pray. Father, thank you this morning for your word. Thank you that it is still an instruction tool for us today in how to live our lives and how to make decisions and how to give you honor and glory and continue to keep you in our life, Father. Thank you for your faithful word, ever not changing. Lord, thank you for your presence this morning in our midst, Lord, and amongst us and in us. And we just praise you for your Holy Spirit and how he works in our lives. And Lord, we just invite your Spirit to just draw closer and be overflowing today. Lord, may you direct my mouth and the words that come out of it. And Lord, may you direct the ears of those who receive it, that they would hear what you want them to hear. And Lord, that you would be glorified in that. Be with our students and our children. Watch over and protect them. Bless them. Let them hear about you this morning as well. And Father, we pray for our ballot from Lockwood to Custer, our sphere of influence. Lord, help us to be a great witness to our community. Help us to know how to love them better. Lord, continue to grow us. Thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, a real short, quick story about distraction. I don't know about you, but it is easy for me to get distracted, especially, so if you'll see me sometimes on Sunday morning, if I'm a little serious, or maybe it's because I'm trying to stay focused and trying not to get distracted, but it's easy to get distracted. Diane and I were going to town the other day, and one of our things that we often do together when we go to town is we go through McDonald's to get a large drink because they're cheap, $1 to drink, right? All right, so I get the half-cup tea, all right, and Diane always gets the unsweet tea. But as we're driving into the parking lot, she's going to cringe when I say this. All right, so I started cringing. She knows what's coming. You don't know what's coming. All right, so when I pull into the drive-up, I'm thinking about this message, and I'm thinking about distractions, and I look up, and I see this sign at McDonald's, and it says, "Deliciously Juicy." All right? So you can cringe with me. Okay? All right? So what is it talking about? It's talking about their new hamburger, their new quarter pounder. And they've changed the number on it, by the way. I'm going to confess, I'm a number 2 order guy. So when you pull into McDonald's, you better know your number if you're with me. All right? No special stuff. Give me your number, all right? And that's it. So I ordered number 2. Guess what it is? It's not the 2 cheeseburger meal deal anymore. It's the deliciously juicy quarter pounder, okay? And so the guy pulled up there, and the guy said, I said, no, it's too late now. You know, he doesn't push my bubble. So he changed my number around. Distractions, okay? Distractions happen all day long, and it's easy to get distracted, okay? Especially for me, and as you get older, maybe it's even harder to remain focused. Maybe not. I don't know. But distractions happen, all right? And so the early Corinthian church was struggling with these distractions, these marital distractions that were going on during that time. You got to understand that this was a time of temple goddess of Diana, you know, the worship of that, and the sexual things that were going on in Corinth. You would not believe today. You think Las Vegas stays there when you go there? Trust me, Corinth is crazy. We went through the museum there at Corinth, and I'm still just dumbfounded for it. And I won't share what I saw. All right, so this was the atmosphere, okay, and so it caused a lot of stress on relationships, a lot of stress on marriages. How do we deal with all this? And so Paul was addressing a lot of these issues that were going on, and we struggle with these same issues today. And thank God He recorded them for us so that we have a tool to go to begin to understand how we're to act and treat each other. So distractions. We're going to explore the problem of distractions a little bit more closely today. And by the way, if you see, we're going to do communion later on too, and we're going to have some of the kids and their children's come in a little bit too. Now the Bible has a lot to say about distraction and its consequences. Okay. Distractions lead to destruction. So if you want to take it on, that's just an easy one. Distractions lead to destruction. It destroys our focus on eternity. Because as believers, our focus has shifted from this present world and the things in this present life to eternity. We have an eternal outlook now instead of just the immediate. And the world keeps wanting to pour the immediate outlook upon us. And the world wants to continue to pour, hey, listen, we've got your solution to growing old. We've got your solution to retirement. You need to do all these things. And it amazes me when I watch on TV, it's now saying, how much money have you put away for your retirement? You're going to need this much. Listen, we didn't used to need so much because we didn't get stuck in a nursing home. Our families took care of us. So if you want to cheapen up your future, just have a bunch of kids and make sure they take care of everything. Oh, man! Yeah, that's not going to work on a plan anymore. All right? Okay. All right. So distractions destroy our focus on eternity. Because we need to have our focus on eternity for those around us and for ourselves. It destroys our marriages. We get distracted from our marriage in multiple reasons. Okay, maybe we're distracted by another individual. Maybe we're distracted by our jobs. Maybe we're distracted by school. Maybe we're distracted by church. Maybe we're distracted by a lot of things. But distraction can be unhealthy in a marriage. It also can be destructive in our relationships with others, with our friends. Okay, distractions. Maybe we're not paying close enough attention to a friend that we really care about. And sometimes we can hurt their feelings because we forgot to call them and wish them a happy birthday. You know, and then listen, my sisters are a little bit older than me, and their generation was huge. Okay, in Christmas cards and birthday cards. When it came to my generation, forget it. I'm sorry, you don't get cards from me. Few, all right. But that's how they communicated back then. How do we do that today? We like it on our little phones, right? You know, we put the little smiley faces, and I do that. I'm in that. I'm guilty of that. I'm putting smiley faces on everything I'm sending people. I'm thinking, I wonder what they think when they see that from me. Do they, do they appreciate that, or do they think, man, that pastor's weird? So,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. If you get a weird, I can't even pronounce it. Emoji for me. All right, just forgive me. So, all right, so it can destroy relationships. Okay, distractions. Are you distracted? All right, it destroys our relationship with God, and this is the most important one. All right, we don't want to get distracted from God, and this world it just pours it out. It is deliciously juicy, the distractions to cause us to move away from God. That's the appearance. It wants to pull you away. It is delicious. Look at what we've got. I mean, and it distracts us. And you know what else? Marriage can even be a distraction. We found out just a second ago. Our marriages can be a distraction from our relationship with others and with God. When Diane and I, back in 2009, God called us into full-time ministry. And it wasn't yet to be a pastor or to preach, it was to share. Okay, that was the term I used back then. I don't preach, I just share. Okay, and so I was sharing back then about Jesus. And God called us to do something at that time that the Southern Baptist, the arm of them in the United States, was called an MSC missionary. So Mission Service Corps missionaries. And it was committed to serve somewhere in the United States for 2 years. And we were self-funded. So we didn't receive any money for this. And we said, okay, we'll do this. I said, we said, okay, we will do this. Because it wouldn't work if it was just Diane that said, I'm ready for this. Or if I said I'm ready for this. Because we would have had a terrible time. Because, working for the Lord, the enemy is going to beat you up enough. Now, you don't need to beat each other. Okay? So here's the thing. It's very, very important and very, very critical that if you say yes to doing ministry and you are married to someone, make sure that they are in agreement with you and on board with you, because it will be a huge distraction if it is not. And I have seen it when I served at the state office. I can confirm it that I saw some men who were called to ministry, but their wives were not. And let me tell you, it was a mess. It was a disaster. It ended up sometimes in broken marriages. It definitely didn't help the church because there was just ongoing conflict between the husband and wife. And so it is important that if you're married, and I say this to my children, they're all married. 2 of them are still married, one of them isn't. So the 2 that are still married, I say this all the time when they call me and ask me for advice. What do you think about this? First thing I say to them, you talk to your wife about this. Is she supportive of this? Is she behind you in this? Because if she's not, run. Okay? Until she's ready or wants to be a part of it, don't do it. Okay? All right? And so I'm looking at myself at the same time. Diane and I work really hard to try to, as we make decisions, that we make them together. Coming here to Valley Baptist Church, this was a decision that we both felt led to do. Buying the house up on Lewis Drive. Our first impression of that was, this is an ugly thing. We don't want that when we pass it by. But then we went and looked at it physically, and we walked in the door, and we looked at each other, and we both said, this is the one. Together, we made the decision. We have been happy up there, let me tell you. I love it up there. We've been happy here, too. Not without struggles. But let me tell you, if we had not been together on this, we wouldn't have lasted being pastor of this church. It would have consumed us. So it is important to be together. There's another distraction that oftentimes happens in our lives, and that's temptation. We're all familiar with that one, right? 1 Corinthians 10, 12 through 13 gives us a little bit of help from God. And this one's one that I think probably a lot of you are familiar with. But let's just really look at it and really see what it says. 1 Corinthians 10, 12 through 13. So just, page or 2 over. It says, so whoever thinks he stands must be careful not to fall. All right? So we don't want to let pride get into everything. We think we're so great and so smart. It says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to humanity. All right? So God is faithful. Listen to this. God is faithful. and he will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. So he knows your breaking point. He knows your stupid point. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape so that you are able to bear it. Did you get that? He will provide a way of escape. Now, that's like having, you're living on the 3rd floor and there's a fire escape and you got to jump in the stairs and, get on it and then climb down to escape the fire. But if you don't use it, you're going to burn up the fire, right? All right, so that's what he's saying here. I have a way for you to escape, but you got to use it. And I'm going to show it to you. You'll recognize it. You'll feel convicted. You'll know, all right, I shouldn't do that, or I need to go do that. So God gives you a way out. Thank you, Lord, for that little bit of help. Appreciate that. But the question is it possible to please the Lord and your spouse? For those of us who are married. We're talking about a marriage series, so if you're not married out there, there's some good things in here for you. But if you're married, there's some good things in here for you too. Can you be married and serve God? Absolutely, yes, 100%. Marriage should not, marriage should not reduce one's devotion to the Lord and service to Him. It should grow. You should bring your partner along. They should see what you're doing and want to get more involved with it. But here's the thing. It brings more potential matters to interfere with it. It brings more potential matters to interfere with it. Because, hey, you got to fix my dishwasher. The thing's broke. And my dishes are piled up and it's Sunday. You really want to go to church? I want clean dishes. Well, what choice do you make? Okay. And, I used to have to make choices on the farm ranch. Okay. So we had livestock and we farmed. All right. And so the temptation was always to work harder on Sunday. Or I need to run my combine on Sunday. No, I don't. I need to take that day off. When we were calving and lambing, do I not go to church in the middle of this? No. I get up a little earlier, make sure everything's fed, make sure everything's taken care of, and I go to church. When I get back, it's just the same. Or if something lambed or calved, it was up doing well. I didn't need to be there. God took care of that. See, I began to trust in God for the choices that I was making in my life. We need to do that in our marriages. And we need to live it. Not just say it, but we need to live it. And that's the difficult part. Marriage requires a measure of maturity, and age is no guarantee of maturity. Okay, you got that? Marriage requires some maturity, but age isn't, your physical age isn't the factor that you're a mature person ready for marriage. We see that a lot. It just blows me away. I see adult men, and I'm going to pick on us guys, trying to live like they're 20-year-olds. And usually they end up with something broken. Okay? All right. Don't do it, guys. Don't think you can go out there and play basketball like you used to. We're going to go down here and have a picnic in a little bit. Man, I want to play volleyball. I love playing volleyball. And so I'm probably going to play volleyball, but I'm going to play it at my speed. Okay? I'm not going to die for that ball. Somebody else is going to have to do it. Because I've learned I can't do that anymore. All right? So, there's things that we can do. And as we mature, we realize we just gain some wisdom. Now, the mature Christian does not get swept up in the emotions. Oh, man. The emotions of this life, that they lose their purpose and focus. Oh, man, we're emotional, messy people, aren't we? All right, we have emotions all day long and coming at us all day long. And, whew, man, you ladies think you have all the emotions. Trust me, us guys got them too. And our emotions can be all over the place. I call it my family curse, which is a little bit bipolar. Okay, I'm not bipolar, but I have a little bit. Okay, so I'm really up when I'm up. And when I'm down, I'm really down. Okay? And so, the great thing about that is that I married someone wonderful who understands that. And so she puts up with me when I'm really up here. And she said, let me think about that. Pray about it. Because I'm ready to go do something. She's holding me back. And then when I'm really down, she's there to love on me and say, it's okay, you're doing a great job.
Amen.
Hang in there. I'm praying for you. I love you. She'll fix me something special to eat. That's her gift. As you can see. It is extremely important. I get down low. It is extremely important that we keep an eternal perspective. All right, it's not. This life is so temporary. All you got to do is look around. I get calls just about every week. Hey, pray for someone. They passed away. Listen, we all pass away. Whether it's an old age or an accident or something happens, and eternity is going to hit us like a ton of bricks. And are we ready to face it? Keep eternity in focus. In eternity with God. Because this life, in a blink, goes by. Now, Romans 12:1-2 says this. It says, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, I urge you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is good and pleasing, perfect will of God. Our minds and our bodies are to be used for the glory of God. Pretty simple. Now here's a fill in the blank for you. We're going to talk about this for just a minute. So our minds and our bodies are to be used for the glory of God. So your alliances determine the quality and direction of your life. Your alliances determine the quality and direction of your life. It is so true. Who you surround yourself with will either bring you up or bring you down into the pit. You have to be a really mature Christian to go, out into certain communities and take on some things. And then maybe you just dip your toe in a little bit, like we did in the Sturgis bike rally. I can tell you, man, I'll tell you, you had to be prayed up before you went into that ministry tent, because you were going to see everything. Everything. Especially the tent ceiling. Who do you align yourself with? Who do you, because everything came in the tent, trust me. So who do you align yourself with? What alliances have you made in your life? Are they good? Are they wise? Have you got good friends? Have you even picked a good job? Now listen, you can choose where you work. There's jobs all over this place. If you're in a dead-end job and you're working with people that are treating you ugly and they're ungodly, unless unless God has called you and you're having a major influence with those people, then why are you still there? Get out of there. I worked with a Native American group of people in South Dakota, and I went and filled in the pulpit one Sunday, and there's this wonderful family, Native American family, and they were just trying so hard to follow God. But if you've ever been on the reservation, you understand that if one person tries to pull themselves up, all the rest of them just come on and say, what are you trying to do? They just cannot stand it if somebody gets their lives better. And I looked at this poor man, and I said to him, why? Why in the world would you keep your family here? Why? He felt some security. And so he stayed there. You don't have to. Run. Get out of there. Find a way to get out of there. Who you alliance with. Your relationship with God is an alliance. You need to align yourself with God. And He will help work all these other things out. So the question you need to ask yourself, what unhealthy alliances are you involved in? Are you there because God would have you there that you can make a difference in them? Or are you there because you made a poor choice and you need to get out of it? You need to move on with your life. 2 Timothy 2:22 says this. It says, flee from youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. It's been fun watching my boys grow up. Grow up from boys to college to marriage to parents. And in all those stages, there's a maturity going on, right? And, they're out there, they call me, and they talk to me, and they ask me questions, and I try to give them the best wisdom that I can. But this life is full of distractions. Yes, sometimes they make good choices and sometimes they make poor choices. But the thing is that we can flee from distractions. We don't have to get caught up in them. We don't have to let them continue to rule our lives in our marriages and in our family relationships, our friends' relationships, and in our relationship with God. If we're not in one, we don't have to stay there. So here's the other fill in the blank. Be a flea flicker. Right? You think about fleas, okay? Fleas on here, hopefully you can, because they bounce around pretty good. But be a flea flicker. In other words, flee from distractions. Okay? Not the little bug kind. But Eve, listen, she was distracted by temptation, right? All right? So she could have fled from that. She didn't have to do that. Samson was distracted by the steady drip of pressure. What's going to cause you to lose your strength? What's going to cause you to lose your strength? What's going to cause you to lose your strength? Peter was distracted by fear. Listen to this. This is what the Bible says about Peter. He says, Lord, this is when they were on the boat, and Jesus was walking on the water. And he's God. He's walking on the water. He's right there in front of him. He says, Lord, if it's you, Peter answered him, command me to come to you on the water. And come, he said, and climbing out of the boat in the presence of Jesus Christ, God himself on earth, Peter started walking on the water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the strength of the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. He was distracted by fear. Don't let fear distract you. Sarah, Abraham's wife, was distracted by unbelief. She handed Abraham her handmaiden, and boy, did that cause a string of problems that's still going on today. David was distracted by lust. He looked about upon Bathsheba, and it caused him to become a murderer. Not only that, but it really hurt his relationship with God. It caused him to lose a child in the process. Solomon was distracted by power. I mean, this guy had all the wisdom, the greatest wisdom, wisest man on the face of the earth at that time, and he gained so much power. He had safety all around him. He made alliances right and left, and he made alliances with all these kings' daughters, and he had multiple wives, and guess what? Those alliances caused him to stray and begin to worship false gods. Guess what the number one distraction is on my list? The number one distraction is an evil influence. And we talked about this in our small group. Ahab's alliance with Jezebel. Everybody's familiar with it. Jezebel is, you know what? This was the name of a woman and she was married to the Israelite king, the northern king, and his name was Ahab, and she's in the dictionary. This is now, you look up, you get a good dictionary, Jezebel's in there. And here's a description of what a Jezebel is. An impudent, shameless, morally unrestrained woman of idol worship who led her husband Ahab, the king of Israel, to worship the false god of Baal. That's what a Jezebel. Listen, women don't always get that title too. Guys sometimes get that title. All right? This happens to us. Ahab made a poor alliance. His wife's father's name was Ethbaal. He was the king. He was a Phoenician king who worshipped Baal. Baal's the guy that they literally offered their children as sacrifices to. This was how unhealthy and ungodly it is. And she had no qualms about killing anybody because he wanted the garden. And she said, well, I'll take care of that for you. His gardener, this guy's neighbor that he had a garden that he wanted. And the guy wouldn't sell it to him. And she said, I'll take care of that. And she just got a bunch of people to falsely accuse him and got him killed. This is what a Jezebel is. So don't make an alliance with a Jezebel. Whether it's a single flea or a lot of them. Flick them away. Flick them away. Maybe you can remember this. Flick distractions away. What is distracting me? I need to get rid of it. I need to flick it away. And move forward in my eternal perspective, in my relationship. Okay? That's what I want for you today. Be focused. Keep focused on what God would have.